When you accepted your job, did you read the fine print? Not the offer letter, not the benefits package, not the salary number that made you say yes. The real fine print. The part that says, in exchange for your time, your energy, your creativity, and the best hours of your best years, we will give you just enough to keep you coming back. Because here is what nobody told you when you took that job. You did not just accept a salary. You accepted a lifestyle, a schedule someone else designed, a set of hours someone else decided, a path someone else mapped out, and a ceiling someone else built that you are not allowed to raise. The average American spends 90,000 hours at work over their lifetime, 1/3 of your entire life. Not with your family, not building your dream, not doing what you chose, working for someone else's vision, inside someone else's hours, on someone else's terms. And here is the question that should keep you up at night. Who decided those hours? Who decided that 9 to 5 was the standard? Who decided that 5 days of your week belonged to an employer and only 2 belonged to you? Because it was not you, and it was not me, and it was not some ancient law written in stone. It was one man, in one decision, over 100 years ago, and the entire world just went along with it. Stay with me, because what I am about to share changes how you see every single workday for the rest of your life. In 1926, Henry Ford famously instituted an 8-hour-a-day, 5-day work week at the Ford Motor Company, and the world called it progress. But here's what the history books left out. Ford did not create the 40-hour work week because he cared about your well-being. He created it because workers with free time spend money, and workers who spend money buy cars, and Ford sold cars. The 9 to 5 was not designed to give you a life. It was designed to make you a better consumer. Work enough to earn, rest enough to spend, repeat until you retire or die, whichever comes first. Before the 8-hour workday, it was common for workers to work between 10 and 16 hours a day, 6 days a week for very little pay. So yes, compared to that, the 9 to 5 was an improvement. Nobody is arguing otherwise. But an improvement over something terrible is not the same thing as something good. And we made the mistake of treating it like it was the finish line, when it was just a slightly less painful starting point. Think about what the 9 to 5 actually means when you do the full math. You wake up, get ready, commute, work 8 hours, commute back, eat, decompress, sleep, wake up, do it again, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, for 40 years. Add in the commute. The average American commutes 27 minutes each way. That is almost an hour a day. 5 hours a week, 250 hours a year. Over a 40-year career, that is 10,000 hours of your life spent in a car going somewhere you did not choose to go. Add in getting ready for work. Add in the mental energy spent thinking about work when you are not there. Add in the Sunday dread, that quiet anxiety that creeps in every Sunday evening because Monday is coming. If you have a 9 to 5 that has you dreading every Sunday, dragging through every Monday morning, just trying to make it to Hump Day Wednesday, and living for the relief of TGI Friday, something needs to change. That is not a career. That is a countdown. The 9 to 5 does not just take your hours. It colonizes your mind. It takes your Sundays. It takes your mornings. It takes your energy. And it leaves you just enough left over to recover, so you can show up and do it all again tomorrow. That is not a job. That is a system, and you are the fuel for that system. Now I want to show you the math that nobody shows you, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You work 40 hours a week, 2,000 hours a year, over a lifetime career that is approximately 80,000 hours. That is your number, the person doing the work. Now let's look at it from the employer's perspective. Your employer hires 10 people just like you, each working 2,000 hours a year. That is 20,000 hours of human productivity flowing into one business every single year. Over 40 years, that is 800,000 hours of human life, captured, directed, and converted into profit by one person who had the idea to hire instead of work. You gave 80,000 hours of your life to your career. Your employer captured 800,000 hours from just 10 people like you. That is not a coincidence. That is the entire model. That is the architecture of how wealth is actually built. Not by working hard, but by getting other people to work hard. And here is the part that will really make you think. Your employer did not work 800,000 hours. They worked a fraction of that. They thought. They decided. They directed. They leveraged your hours, and the hours of everyone around you, to build something that continues to compound long after you clock out. Meanwhile, you clocked in, did your 9 to 5, clocked out, and traded one more day of your 80,000 for a salary that stays roughly the same whether you had a brilliant day or a terrible one. Now let's talk about what the 9 to 5 does to you over time, because this is the part nobody warned you about. The 9 to 5 is designed to keep you functional, not free. Functional. There is a massive difference. It keeps you tired enough that you do not have the energy to build anything of your own after hours. It keeps you comfortable enough that leaving feels too risky. It keeps you busy enough that you never have time to think about what you actually want. And it keeps you just financially dependent enough that missing one paycheck would cause a crisis. Think about when you were young, the drive you had, the ideas you had, the things you wanted to create, build, and become. Now think about what happened to that drive 5 years into a 9 to 5. It did not disappear because you got lazy. It disappeared because the system is designed to exhaust the parts of you that would threaten it. Creativity, ambition, curiosity, independent thinking. These are not qualities that make you a better employee. They are qualities that make you dangerous to the system that needs you to stay. So the 9 to 5 quietly, methodically, consistently drains them. Monday through Friday. 9 to 5, year after year, until one day you look up and the fire that used to be there is just gone, and you call it growing up, but what actually happened is you got tired. And tired people do not start revolutions. Tired people go home and watch television. That is not an accident. That is the design. And here is what makes it even more insidious. The chronic stress of the 9 to 5, the financial pressure, the job insecurity, the performance reviews, the office politics, the never-ending inbox, keeps your nervous system in a constant state of fight or flight. Fight or flight was designed for survival. It was built for moments of immediate danger. A threat appears, your body responds, the threat passes, and you recover. That is how it was meant to work. But the 9 to 5 never lets the threat pass. The deadline gets replaced by another deadline. The difficult boss gets replaced by another difficult boss. The financial anxiety of this month gets replaced by the financial anxiety of next month. Your body never gets the signal that the danger is over, because inside the trap, it never is. And here is what chronic fight or flight actually does to you. It shuts down the very systems you need to build your way out. Creative thinking, long-term planning, risk tolerance, innovation. These are not fight or flight functions. These are the functions your brain reserves for when it feels safe. So the trap is not just stealing your time, it is keeping your brain in a biological state that makes it nearly impossible to see beyond the trap. You cannot think your way to freedom when your nervous system is convinced you are still in danger. The 9 to 5 does not just exhaust the body. It convinces the mind that surviving today is the only option available. I want you to sit with a question that most people never seriously ask themselves. What is more valuable to you, time or money? Before you answer, let me give you the information you need to answer it correctly. Money is renewable. You can lose every dollar you have today and earn it back tomorrow. People do it every day. Businesses go bankrupt and rebuild. Fortunes are lost and remade. Money, when you understand how it works, can always be created again. Time cannot be renewed. Not 1 second of it. Every hour you spend on anything for anyone in any direction is gone permanently. There is no earning it back. There is no buying more of it. No matter how much money you accumulate, you cannot purchase one additional second of your life. And yet we live as if it is the other way around. We treat money like it is scarce and irreplaceable. We treat time like it is abundant and disposable. We trade our most valuable resource, time, for our most renewable resource, money. And we do it for 80,000 hours without stopping to question whether that trade makes any sense at all. Here is the deepest question in this entire episode, and I want you to really hear it. If time is your most valuable asset, and you cannot buy more of it, why are you spending the majority of it inside someone else's schedule, building someone else's vision, on someone else's terms? The 9-to-5 does not just take your hours. It takes the hours you could have spent building leverage, building something that earns while you sleep, building a life that does not require you to trade time for survival every single week for 40 years. There is a reason the wealthiest people in the world talk about time, not money, as their most precious resource. Because once you have enough money, you realize that what you actually want is time. And by then, most of it is already gone. The 9-to-5 sells you money, but the price is time, and you cannot get a refund. I want to be clear about something because I know what some of you are thinking. This is not an anti-work message. Work is necessary. Income is necessary. Showing up is necessary. Bills do not care about your mindset. If you get hired to do a job, you should do that job to the fullest. But there is a fundamental difference between working and being trapped. And the 9-to-5 becomes a trap the moment you stop choosing it and start needing it to survive. The question is not whether you have a job. The question is whether your job owns you or you own your job. Let's face the reality. We live in a completely different 9-to-5 world since COVID in 2020. Jobs and employers are now requiring people to combine job descriptions for little or no extra pay. One thing the world realized during that time was that it could function just as efficiently with fewer people. Your position is not as secure as it once felt. And if that does not make you think about building something of your own, I am not sure what will. An owner knows exactly what they are trading and why. They have a plan beyond the paycheck. They are building something on the side, even slowly, that does not require their physical presence to generate value. They see their current income as a tool, not a destination. A trapped person has no plan beyond the next paycheck. The job is the plan. The salary is the strategy. And the idea of losing it, for any reason, is terrifying enough to keep them exactly where they are indefinitely. Which one are you right now? Be honest. Because the answer to that question determines everything that comes next. Here is what I want you to decide today. Not someday, not after the next raise. Today. Decide what matters more to you, time or money. Then build your entire financial strategy around protecting the one you chose. If you chose time, every financial decision you make from this point forward should be about buying back more of it. Every raise, every investment, every side project, every skill developed, all of it aimed at the day when your time belongs to you completely. Because the 9-to-5 will always be there. It was designed to be. It needs you far more than you need it. The real question is whether you are going to need it forever, or whether you are going to build something that makes it optional. Optional is freedom. Required is a trap. So here is your challenge this week. One question. Write it down. If my job disappeared tomorrow, what would I actually have that is mine? Not your title. Not your network that only exists because of your position. Not the skills that only work inside your company's system. What would you actually have? That is yours, permanently, regardless of what any employer decides. That answer is your starting point. That is what you build from. That is the beginning of the exit from the 9-to-5 trap. But knowing where you are is only step one. The real question is, what do you build next? That is exactly what we break down inside the Trapped Mindset's Inner Circle. The Inner Circle has the full escape plan for the 9-to-5 trap. It shows how to start building time back into your life while you are still inside the system, how to create income that does not require your physical presence, and how to make the 9 to 5 optional instead of mandatory. The link to the inner circle is in the description below, so go ahead and join now, because awareness without action is just frustration with better vocabulary. Don't just watch this, use it. Subscribe to this channel today and share this with someone still inside the trap. And drop in the comments. What would you do with your time if a 9 to 5 was no longer required? I will see you in the next trap.